right. We're live now.
That's funny.
Hello, everyone. I did a whole countdown, and that's what we're laughing at. So it's a King of Clubs day. As you can tell by the spontaneous changes, right? We're always changing, right? Like, get some consistency with the platform brand by 3 Diamonds. Let's try. But we go with the flow. Everything works in divine timing is the 3 Diamonds motto, of course. And you got to be adaptable to the changes. So here we are. We will kind of be back at our regular time. I did give everybody like 30 minutes additional time, but we may have to cut it about 15 minutes, a little shorter than the usual hour we on. But that's fine. So today, this week is a King of Diamonds week. King of Clubs. It's like King of Diamonds. It's a King of Clubs week, and actually one of my favorite King of Clubs artists is born this month, which is Kendrick Lamar. Which is funny. I was reading over the cards and everything about the King of Clubs. Even though it's a club, yes, it's about politicians and all of those good things. Oh, let me go live on my Instagram as well. It's about politicians and all those good things, but they can be really good artists also. So that's one thing as far as the King of Clubs I do admire. I was looking at as far as their card. Anything, Gina, you want to detail?
About what? Sorry. The King of Clubs.
She like, what are we here for? What are we talking about today?
It's definitely been a very interesting week. The King of Clubs, you can, it has such a strong presence. And you really do have to, work on mastering the mental with this energy and it's interesting. We have a lot of water energy right now, astrologically.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Neptune's about to go retrograde too. So, more water, but, and the moon is in Scorpio. So and it's interesting too, the King of Clubs has the King of Spades as its cosmic moon. And I always find that the King of Clubs is typically around when the moon is in Scorpio. So you can see the intent, how it can be an intense energy.
So when the moon is in Scorpio, what do you say before?
I always find that whenever the moon is in Scorpio, the King of Clubs is usually in the vicinity, whether it's here, the moon is in Scorpio right now, as of yesterday, and we're in a King of Clubs week, right? I've noticed sometimes the Scorpio moon falls a lot around the King of Clubs day. So, Scorpio is a fixed card or a fixed energy, and the King of Spades has the King of Clubs has the King of Spades as its cosmic moon, a fixed
What's
card.
the day? What's the day for that King of Clubs birthday for that? And what is it? What would be October? Or November? Well, October, November. The King of Clubs. The King of Clubs in Scorpio season.
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. Let me grab my thingy.
Oh,
November 20th. No, I'm sorry. November 7th.
November 7th.
Is that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's crazy about that King of Clubs? You talking about I actually almost died on the King of Clubs day. I believe it was on the King of Clubs day or the day going into the King of Clubs day, depending on of course, midnight, daytime, or sundown. And it was with a Scorpio moon, if I'm not mistaken, and it was in it was either the Scorpio moon or Scorpio was in the moon was in Libra. I have to go back, but I got stabbed right and almost hit my kidney area. So that's how I know it was in the 7th house or it was in Libra.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's like your lower back as well. And yeah, he said it was like 2 or 3 inches from my kidney. So yeah, the King of Clubs energy is not a joke. As Gina was describing, I'm laughing like this is not funny, Rashad. Like you almost died. That is my worst trait is I laugh at everything. Unfortunately, like,
Same. Say I am the same way. It's almost like ridiculous sometimes. Yeah.
yeah. Unfortunately, and that's the thing about the King Clubs, right? They said they have to get some maturity, which I think they are. They can be mature. You know, they have the Jack of Diamonds and Mercury, so maybe younger. There's a sense between maturity and maybe um, optimism or being a quick learner. You know, I think dominants do have to have. I'm not going to have to have, but they do have like this. Get slow to learn your lesson type of energy going on.
Hmm.
You got to learn the hard way, I think. But that also gives them like a lot of ability to, like I said, going to like business or like writers. I think with musicians learn by example. So I think the Jack of Diamonds in itself learns by example. Um, and so, yeah, actually, so November the 7th, I'm reading one of the things that says physicians and metaphysics, of course, experiments in surgery or occultism, of course, right? I definitely almost had surgery getting stabbed in the back, just cut me open, ripped me out the box. Ruthless and cruel, if undeveloped, of all King of Clubs are the most danger of getting off the right track, know their power too well. Um, That is a word. That's a word. But diggers for secret, scientific, or occult strong views on social government questions, mostly icons apt to believe that their ends justifies any means, which they said about the three of diamonds a lot of times as well. I'm sorry, man. I was on another screen, so I didn't see you in the back end. And for my Instagrammers, we're live on YouTube if you want to see us or see everyone. Right? But yeah, we are just talking about how I had surgery on the King of Clubs day.
Oh,
Basically.
that's what the November 7th was that you were reading?
Yeah, well, it wasn't really surgery. I got stabbed in my back, but surgery nonetheless.
God, like, that's a cartoon right there. Like, it wasn't surgery. I just got stabbed in my back. Like, where are we supposed to go with that? Like,
No big deal.
where do we go? So, anyways, I know it's flying by.
um,
So funny. So funny. Nice. So, good morning, King of Clubs week, huh?
yeah. I know you have a lot of King of Clubs.
A lot of mental going on for sure. And definitely, I heard a little bit what I was waiting in regards to that. I'll say the King of Clubs that I know, and even the one that exists between Miles and me, it can be so good, but it can flip quick,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and that's really what I've been noticing this week is the value of neutrality and not getting myself engaged in an emotional way, because that's when I'll personally flip, right? Like if I'm just like swimming along, I'm like, oh, whatever, it is what it is. But if something emotionally comes at me and I try to act like it didn't bother me, it'll show up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They have the Queen of Hearts and Pluto, you know. So they can be, and it actually says they can be sensitive souls. Growing up as well, it's one of the dynamics of the King of Clubs, and you can kind of tell they have the Jack of Diamonds, which is Uranus, I think Neptune, and then the Four of Hearts and Venus. So one thing about the four of those having those two hearts and the two of space, I think can be a little sensitive as well. So I think with fours you can be kind of fixed on the way you think you view things. So I think when you have a fixed attitude, that may lead to, you just being just having a certain point of view. And then the Eight of Hearts and Saturn as well. So they have to just watch out for that sensitivity. Even though like Capricorns can be corporate and exalted like in the 10th house, but they can be very insecure, or the Saturn position can bring on insecurities or detriments in some type of emotional matter. So they have to, I think they almost learn about the same lesson as the Seven of Hearts, almost in a way, with that Eight of Hearts and Saturn, with the just letting go of control, you know. And they actually say sometimes the men can be dominated in their marriages, maybe because that Queen of Hearts and that Four of Hearts as well.
Yeah, I've been spending more time with the twins lately because I'm trying to get them to help me move and take care of things. And they're not easy people to motivate. I'll just tell you that. But those Leos, man, they really like their comfort, man. So, and they love to be busy. It's not like they don't want to be busy, but they don't want to be busy doing what they're doing. They have no interest in being busy what you're doing, right? It's like so straight up. And because I, have empowered them to have a voice, like.
Now you're kicking yourself, huh?
just like, I don't want to do this. I think it's like, I don't share your values. And I'm just sitting there trying to like figure out, what do you say when you don't just yell at them like my mom did? Like, what is the other line? Like, please, God, like as they're talking, I'm going, please give me a word. Please give me the words. Please help me know what to say. Because I'm so triggered to be like, just fucking get up and do it. But, just like make them do it. But they're also saying, hey, I don't want to do this. This isn't important to me. I want to, blah, blah, blah. That's not why I was going in. Their birth date was 9/11. That's when they were due. And that's King of Clubs Day. And they came on the Queen of Hearts Day. And sometimes I think, I wonder what would have been different about them if they were full-term King of Clubs, and that it might be a blessing that they're Queen of Hearts that came premature. Because to have them both be so sensitive and intelligent and attuned and all those things, psychically aware, but not necessarily, I don't always find the King of Clubs to, they're just a little awkward socially. The men ones that I know, but I don't know a lot of men ones. I know a lot of women ones, like 2 or 3 men ones. But anyways, I was just thinking about what that would be like. Not that it even matters, but just the variation. But now that you told me the Queen of Hearts is in Pluto, I guess it's in there anyway.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah.
Curiosity. But yeah, very curious how to meet to motivate to share things. It's very fixed and very much in its own way. And there's very little room. And honestly, the other day when I started to let myself get whiny about it, I stopped it real quick. And I remember their babysitter telling me when they were really young, they're like, no, they're really cute and they're really like, sweet in a way, but they're not easy children. Like, these are very difficult children that you have. And I'm just like, really? But she says, but for you or Miles, they're like, because they know we're like the top dogs, like we're the bigger wolves, you know what I mean? So with the wolf pack, but in the world, they've always been kind of like, nah, we do what we want. You know what I mean? So I'm curious how that will serve them going forward. I pray it does. But as a parent, it hasn't been really fun all the time to get them to kind of work together.
No, it's the Queen of Hearts, Neptune.
It's been true.
It's hard to motivate the hearts unless the heart is in it.
If it's not, it's almost like I would rather you pull my teeth out than me do this. Honestly, it's the truth. If my heart's not in it, you're gonna like have to drag me kicking and screaming. I'm gonna resist it, and I'm probably gonna hate it, and you're gonna know it. Then I'm gonna be difficult. That's just how it works.
No, all right. I better take some breaths.
But if our heart's in it, oh my God, watch out. There's no stopping us. We will not just take it as it becomes like it's a thing, like, and we'll die for it. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm just waiting for that fine line. Just turn that little line. Yeah, just waiting. So.
And that's the issue with the King of Clubs too. They can maybe be a little lazy, but ultimately they become regretful as well. Feeling like they didn't do enough and those things. So I don't know. So that could be the ultimate difference is that regretfulness. I think the hearts that if their heart is, I don't know how much regret is. Like I would like
No regret. Like, nah, no. The king, no regret. So you know what I'm also thinking about is this King of Clubs week. We had that very like spiritually advanced kind of conversation on the clubhouse on Tuesday, and this whole way of like the part that I'm appreciating that Lewis is bringing in is the idea that we're actually talking to the energy. So granted, I know that we're suggesting that Nick and Therese will have a conversation, but it's really those energies having a conversation to understand how to kind of unlock those spaces. I'm really digging that. I think that's pretty fascinating and very King of Clubsy, you know, very like, wow, how did we figure out that, you know, to go to that macro picture and then take it micro and see if we can't resolve it publicly and then support more energy being flowed from where there was stuckness. Am I not getting it? Or does that make sense?
No, you're saying taking you said the macro energy or micro energy?
Well, the big picture, macro, big picture, like everything, right?
Mhm.
And realizing that relationship piece, that two of hearts, two of spades, independence, who's what, who's where, like that dance of those energies, that's kind of at the core of how we're going to be in relationships again and how we're going to soar and grow differently. Because that's where a lot of the familial kind of rubs are, the codependent stories, the betrayals, the things that get passed down, like are in those little spots, those relationship spaces. I have a ace of clubs, two of spades, and a couple that I've been working with, and it's so much about their history getting played out in this moment and trying to get out of the current or the frequency of their history, some painful and distorted and whatever, to actually meet the love that's between them. And that for me, when I've been thinking about this possibility of this conversation and what it means to our bigger audience is, can we learn from this conversation ways to forgive or have our conversations around letting go of anywhere that we're still blocking, like connection or love or, you know, just opening ourselves up more. So I could be romanticizing it. Again, I'm the king with the icing, but that's what I was thinking about.
No, you're fine. That leads me to think about the King of Clubs and talking about the King of Spades and the Moon in that fixed position, and then having the Queen of Hearts and Pluto. So, like, how does the King of Clubs forgive? And are they fixed within their emotions? Is that stagnant? But then, if you look at it, it's a community card. So it has to have some type of forgiveness or learning to work with their emotions within those things. And for the Five of Hearts, and maybe why they think like that, and to speaking to Louis Genius, the King of Clubs is their moon. So the King Clubs is about the community organization, so dealing with the essence of, I guess, also healing as the Queen of Hearts in the Moon. So working with, healing your emotions or getting over your emotions in some type of way or getting past judgment. Well, they say kings are judgment or the cards of judgment and character as well, so that's what the science is about, is character building in a sense, so I think when you meet the King of Clubs, you do meet those dynamics of thinking about the bigger picture of how you coexist, because it also has a two of spades that is displacing. So as much as they're like individuals, they also about, how do we cooperate, and they have to kind of work together or get advice from people as well. It's one of the things about King Clubs. You think, oh, it's the smartest card in the world, or it's this genius, but actually the genius comes from bouncing ideas off of other people or working with other people.
They just have to not think that they know more than the other people.
Yeah, right. That's the part, right?
And I'm not discredit. I mean, they are very intelligent, but I think they want to trump what the other, you know what I mean? It's always like they have to trump. And so if they can allow two of spades, such a strong energy of brotherly love and cooperating and coming together, that it's not a trump. It's actually a collaboration that can bring you higher, to higher capacity. because I think, isn't there like the saying 2 is better than 1, or just like that.
Stronger together.
Right. So
might get there faster alone, but it'll be better together.
I knew you would have them. So but that's what I
press the button. I'm like a Staples machine.
Yeah.
You just press the button.
So but that is exactly where that is. And I think the King of Clubs, if they can, and not be so stuck with, because that King of Spades. And I think it comes from more the emotions than it does even their mindset, because that's the cosmic moon. And then that Queen of Hearts being their Pluto card, like you said, they can be sensitive, and that sensitivity, if they don't know how, if they can't get a grasp of that, that's when I feel like the King of Clubs can be very destructive.
I want to be a confession for the other kings as a king. I've been thinking a lot about how the King of Spades has that Saturn in there, a 5 of Hearts, and wants to lead but kind of can't, and wants to play and be wild. And this King of Clubs being so smart but having to be connect to everybody. And like, for me as a King of Diamonds, I recognize that people sometimes don't tell me stuff because they don't want to hear what I'm going to say. So like, say I'm in a business situation, right? And there's movement and things going on. I psychically know everything that's going on. I don't know it specifically, but I'm like, oh, something's going on. I feel something over there. I wonder what's up. But I never go in. I wait for communication. But when the communication doesn't come, as a king, you start to feel like what's going on, and you feel a responsibility that you have to handle it a certain way. You have to act a certain way. You have to be a certain way. I'm not even saying anybody makes you do this. I don't even know if this is just born into the character because of the king stuff. I don't even know. Oldest daughter, whatever the gig is. And it's very challenging sometimes to feel that uber responsibility and that undercurrent around you that makes you kind of want to like watch your back. Like, to me, it makes sense that community or other people being around you makes you stronger, and not like everybody making sure, King Madeline doesn't get hurt. Everybody just making sure that we're vibing and thriving and everybody's solid, making sure that nobody's falling out, just working together, because there's for sure a vein of paranoia that has been in my character, even before I smoked pot, where I just would, because I could feel it, is like, why don't people want to say what they have to say to the kings or the queens, because there's a whole way that the queens hold people at a certain, mercy as well, if you will. So I'm just really curious about what could resolve that, to bring that ease, because for me, that's what makes the kings be controlling. That's what makes the kings be irritable. That's what makes me maybe be uber positive, trying to overshine it, because it takes away from the ease when you don't necessarily feel the ability to be genuine and relaxed because you're in this role and there's this expectation. I keep seeing, I had a dream the other night of this King of Spades guy with this 5 of Hearts heart, like a little kid. And I was like, oh my God, that must be so crazy to feel so childlike and so open and so excited, but have to be a King of Spades. You know what I mean? Or be like a King of Spades. Like, I don't know a lot of King of Spades. I just know the one I do know went pretty crazy. I met her in the hospital, so she didn't necessarily do things strongly. She became very, very rigid and controlling and hated everyone. So, but she felt a lot of pressure from her card, and she felt really misunderstood, and she didn't recognize, and her family, I didn't know anything about cards then, but I knew she wasn't like a lot of them I'd met before. I knew that she was a unique one, right? And I was like, wow. And but her family really didn't have the ability to receive her uniqueness, and instead they were just trying to get her to be what they thought she should be, and she couldn't do that. Like, she could not comply. So I know I don't want to run the block a little bit about kings, but it's been coming into my heart, this life of a king, these king weeks, and how they play out in our conversations, and the ability to really know that even though we're wearing a card, we're still a heart.
Yeah, I'm not per se a king, but the sense of responsibility and letting go of control. That's one thing I was talking about, the king clubs. They kind of have to let go of control as well. I think like Lisa Tiffany said she have trouble forgiving, working on that also judges the self more. So is it coming from a place of self judgment? And
Yeah,
says,
I think that's in there. I totally hear that, Tiffany, for sure. I definitely think that because of the pressure we perceive in ourselves and our own head or whatever, there's a pressure that stays on. Like, what do I got to say? What should I do? So I agree with that.
yeah. And the King of Clubs, what do you transform into? The Three of Hearts, right? Yeah, I was looking for the Ace of Clubs, but it's like the Moon or one over, which Adam actually, he's not here, but he considers that Pluto within the other form of the cards of truth looks at that Moon card as like a Pluto card, and within Pluto card within the Vedic, it's kind of like a daily task, you know. So it's like again self-judgment of looking at oneself, and even for you depending on what system, of course it's your transformation or if it's your Neptune card, but it's still there in your spread. So there's always this self-awareness or the knowledge of self or the self-judgment, even in the Two of Clubs, which is I think is pushing you, has the Ace of Spades as well. So I'm looking at trying to find like where's the self judgment come from. But even the King of Spades and the Moon, that is very critical. I'm not gonna lie. That I had the King of Spades in the Moon, and all I heard was my sister like criticizing me, criticize.
Yeah, those things play on you because you're actually more sensitive when you're little than not. And I don't know, somebody's been talking about remembering your environment when you were little, something I'm listening to. I listen to so many things. So, and I
That
was
was
like,
it. The text sent earlier today.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
something. So, I like to imagine the environment when you were little, and it was really, no offense to the big people, but it was a lot of like mocking and telling you doing it wrong and this and that, like comments. Like it didn't necessarily bring ease to like, well, let me just see how I feel. It wasn't like that. It was like consider everything that we just told you, and if you mess up, or even if you do a good job, we're going to yell at you anyway, because that's what we do when you come in the house. We yell at you because we are running our emotions at each other. And when the little kid comes in that we think shouldn't be there, we're going to yell at it and tell it it's silly and make fun of it and it has to go away. So, but now, meanwhile, for me, that little kid's a king of diamonds going like, what is going on? Like, where's my court? Why are these people not understanding? Not that I knew any of that, but it was for sure a challenge to override the imprint of some of those comments because I love those people so much. And what they said mattered so much because I felt such a responsibility to them. So I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm being real about the kind of stuff that lives in the hearts of the deep people. Hi, Nick.
What are you on? YouTube.
Hey, how you doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We was talking about the club and having a sense of responsibility and pressure. Madeline was talking about her childhood and the scene and setting around adults. Having this consistent pressure of not stepping out of line. And I think that, and not just the Kings, there's the other world cards too. I think we have to take a look at see if they have the same essence. I know your mom's a Jack of Clubs as well, and that they actually have a king in their lineup. So also Tiffany, if you actually resonate or was there anything in your childhood that led to you having pressure or responsibility or judgment and the lack of empathy? That's another thing actually I was reading was that they actually come with a lack of empathy after a while if they do not attend to the sense of duty. If someone doesn't is like, nonchalant, I don't want to do this, there's a lack of empathy. But yeah, I think that may be like a royal thing or a king thing, probably the having or feeling judged or being judged, yeah. Do you want to say anything, Gino or Nick? Nick is like, I'm gathering, I'm trying to think what I want to say.
But it is an Ace of Clubs day, so I'm sure he's gonna have something to say.
Yeah, exactly. Let's put him
Ace of Clubs, right? I'm asking questions, right?
Nick, your mic is on, or it's muted. There you go.
Oh no, I was like, he's right. I'm thinking. I'm like, ooh, like I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. The authority for sure is a thing. I would have to say. That's definitely a thing. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm really trying to figure it out. Really am trying to figure that out for real, for real. So I don't know. I wish I could take notes because y'all was saying some really good stuff. Seriously. So I know for me that King of Hearts really in Mercury in communication is the emotional conversation. It's just so emotional. Like, oh my God, can I calm the waters down? And being a Scorpio doesn't help. So it's something that I'm really working on. I prefer the King of Diamonds. I don't resonate with the King of Clubs like that. I really don't. I prefer the King of Diamonds. I mean, it has the Eight of Clubs and Saturn. That's my life path. I don't really know a lot of other stuff, and I just really like that energy. But the King of Clubs is more friendly, and so that's what I'm actually tapping into. It's more cooperative to me than the King of Diamonds. So
I could see that.
Yeah, they have to be. They have the two of spades. That's under them, so they kind of have to land on that. And also, Tiffany noted that she said, yes, she had good grades growing up, but mom wanted them higher. So, again, that King of Spades, like I said, that having that in the moon is a lot of pressure. Like, oh my gosh, nothing was never enough that year with the King of Spades in the moon. Oldest child then started my own family young. That's another King of Clubs things like a marriage young, the Four of Hearts and
Venus.
Venus. Still learning about that energy. She also said, I'm tough but sensitive inside. You have to get to know me to know.
Yeah, I relate with that too. I think there's definitely an exterior that kind of develops when you got to get there and you got to keep going. I'm sure that's true for everyone.
Mm-hmm. But the pressure, I think, as a kid, and having that sense of responsibility on you, I think it rains heavy for that King of Clubs with the King of Spades in the moon, but also just the kings in general. I think there's a natural responsibility that happens. I don't know if the energy of the King gets taken away. Is one card of looking at the energy of their childhood as well. And there's a certain type of balance between the mother and the father, which one they give more credit or sensitivity to, because like one parent may be harder on the King of Clubs as well, so they do have to like watch out for the conflicts between maybe favoritism or looking at a particular parent. um it's like one parent is giving you a whooping, but the other one's rubbing your back maybe.
Nice. I'm curious, Nick, see if I can come up with a question like your kind. So if you're the ace of clubs, right, and we're talking about the king of clubs, so what is that? Does that feel like a path? Like, does the ace in you want to get to the king, or do you feel like you're past the king at an ace again? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, do you feel like you're on a journey to kind of grow to that crown, or do you feel, because I know for me as a king, I become an ace.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I can't hear you, Nick.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a really good question. My transformation card is the Eight of Spades, and the King of Clubs is the Challenging Karma card. And on the spiritual spread, the Ace of Clubs transforms into the King of Clubs.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how you slice it, I still transform into the King of Clubs. So it's a challenge in the mundane spread. So that's why I'm like, I don't really like the King of Clubs, because the King of Diamonds is the Venus card. So of course I like the Venus energy. It's Venus.
But wouldn't it be so cool to bring your King of Clubs to work with the Venus of the King of Diamonds? Because then you're going to have even more of the ability to manage and lead.
And you're absolutely right. But the process is different, because I find that the King of Diamonds comes across more bougie. Is not really dealing with every and anybody, and the King of Clubs has to deal with all walks of life, and I don't want to do that.
You want to be selective.
We're like keeping the prince in like his special corner.
Yeah, I want to be selective because I feel like as a king of diamonds in Venus, it in any industry that I've been in, it's always been about knowing your audience, right? Knowing your prices, knowing how much you want, how much is your value. That seven of diamonds makes you sit with what is your value. How much do you value yourself? How much do you value yourself? And that is I think the seven of diamonds has the king of diamonds in Neptune.
Next.
So there's this energy that does not leave me with the seven of diamonds that's forcing me to be really huge on my value. And in order for me to do that and get the value of what I feel like what it feels like I'm worth, I can't deal with everybody. It has to be people who can afford it. It's like Mercedes Benz. It's like they know who their audience is. Everybody can't come and get a car from there. And that's how I feel like the king of diamonds does business, but the king of clubs doesn't necessarily want to do business with the king of diamonds type of people, you know. So it's a thing. It is. You know, a lot of the king of clubs energy, that Uranus energy, they're extremely intimidated by, not all, but a lot of them are extremely intimidated by dealing with that king of diamonds energy.
Oh, totally, dude. I was doing the farm with a friend of mine who's a king of clubs for a long while, and I couldn't even figure out why he was acting the way he was acting. I was like, I don't even understand what's happening. Like, why are you not just acting normal? Like, I just asked you a question. Like, I don't even understand. The intensity of the way he would watch everything I did and said. I was like, are you going to be all right? Like, we're just planting corn. Like, it's going to be okay. But he had this real way that because it was of the Lenape original seeds, it has to be a certain way. This is, and I'd be like, it's just growing corn. Let's just grow corn. You know what I mean? So, and that would really drive him nuts. You know, he'd be like, don't you understand? Like, you're just looking at this so crassly. You don't understand what this is. And I'd be like, it's a big garden and it's just this part. And he wanted me to really give my whole life up. Like, I loved the farm, and he had this one spot. Bring everything here. We'll do everything here. And I was like, no, I'm not here for just that and corns and seeds. I'm here for the whole thing. Now he's adjusted and he's growing in a new way. But it was real bump. Like, we really bumped. I had never worked so closely, you know, acknowledging and know his card, you know. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but this isn't fun. So I don't think I should do it anymore, because I just want to come and enjoy the garden. I don't really want to be like under so much scrutiny around just being at the garden. Like, that's too much for me. But as him as a king of clubs, he took that very seriously. And his area was set up and people could come to him, but like, I don't know. Hey, who knows? I don't know if he's like all of them, but yes, we definitely had a rub. So I can appreciate that the king of clubs and king of diamonds might have a rub, but there was definitely a lot of love and sweetness too. And there was a lot of beautiful things that he's very thoughtful, very showed his actions. You know, like, I walk barefoot all over the garden all the time. So he took the thistle out of the entire field for me so I could walk barefoot there. Like, really beautiful things like that, you know? So I think everybody shows it differently. And sometimes we don't know we're applying pressure just by showing up in people's lives.
I gotta go. I don't want to just jump off. She has to go to practice, so we're leaving, and she's staring at me like it's time to go. So
I'm sorry, honey. Love you.
Spades. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye, babe. All right. You know, so Nick, this king of clubs thing, I think it's interesting because I remember when I was real squirrely way back in the day on Clubhouse, and I would just get into my babbling rants like I would. And you and Rashad and Gina would tell me that it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, because for Gina, I was her Saturn. For Rashad, I was his cosmic lesson. And for you, I was your Venus. So it kind of touched you in ways that you could tolerate it more than maybe some of the larger audience, right? So obviously there's no king of clubs in my spread. So the way I did things didn't necessarily touch him in that way. And I know that Miles and I, being a result card of the king of clubs, as I mentioned before you came in, it can go left. It can be very sensitive, like really sensitive in ways that my king of diamonds callousness may not pick up on.
But do you know why?
No, tell me, please.
Because don't you have the 8 of spades?
Oh, it's my year card. I'm just finished.
But don't you have it as for life in your 13 cards?
My cosmic lesson.
So that bully in you is
What?
challenge the king of clubs. The king of clubs is challenging your eight of spades, and the eight of spades challenges them.
Oh. So we don't have any choice. Good. I'm glad. I'm happy to swim through it and figure it out for sure. Yeah. I'm going into a 7 of diamonds on my birthday. My birthday's Sunday.
Wow, Gorisha, real quick, it's the Mars. I find it that Mars energy, that whole role with those two kings, King of Hearts and the King of Diamonds, that Mars energy, it really takes the King of Clubs back some. King of Spades is cool, but the King of Clubs, no.
So tell me about the Mars energy and playing the Mars energy. Like, give me a little sense of how you might hear it and how it might come to you that I wouldn't understand because I'm doing it.
Well, the King of Clubs is more laid back, right? The King of Hearts and the King of Diamonds, not so much because of Mars. It's a lot of passion in the discussion, passion in the everything. It's so passionate, and the King of Clubs doesn't have as much passion. I find they're not as passionate. It's more detached. So they're not passionate about humanity like that. They're not passionate about this and that like a Mars person would be, because it's Uranus, and Uranus is considered kind of grumpy and that's not necessarily a lot of passion with Uranus. I've never heard anybody really equate passion with Uranus energy. I just haven't.
So then the drive for the people and maybe the attachment, that King of Hearts like stuff, that attachment, like that more sticky stuff. Oh, thank you, Brenda.
Mhm.
That kind of stuff that comes into play because the King of Clubs doesn't want to get caught up in that. Like, they don't want to be caught up in the drama and things like that. That might come with the people and the passion and the push.
Yeah, I think it's the disappointment in people. I think
Okay.
the King of Clubs can't put people on a pedestal. And I think, as I was kind of talking about earlier, they get to the point where if they're not in service, or if they don't feel like they want to do something, you're going to get a very grumpy King of Clubs, detached King of Clubs, and someone that is disassociated, or that is neglectful, taking responsibility. So I think that's where you get that essence if you meet that part of the King of Clubs. So at its highest, I see like Malcolm X, right? It's like, and like, Kendrick Lamar, and even with all of those cards, you see they went through a major transformation. Like, it was like night and day they had to go through to gain respect, and to think about the community and look outside of themselves. But once they do, I think you can find those sides. But if not, it can be like those nines. You can get someone that doesn't let go, that's disgruntled, and non-cooperative, in those essences. And you're right. Like, sitting Uranus doesn't make it better. It's like my way or the highway.
So is it like a bitterness that comes from things that happen? Like, do they lose faith in people?
Faith. Oh, that's a good one. Faith, especially because that king sense that the belief systems and faith, like what have you built, for yourself? What type of strength, what gives you strength is your belief systems and your faith, and the ability of knowing that you're gonna get through it or get over it, like that willpower of the eight. So that could be one of those things, is keeping faith, and having strength to get over your obstacles, or whatever it may be that's holding you back. Like the fours and the eights, they break things down to build it back up. But if you don't have the integrity, or if you don't have the willpower to do that, then you just you lose faith. Lose
Well,
all.
specifically though too, if you don't have Mars pushing on you consistently, then the drive that it takes after the faith, because faith is great, but then you have to have that passion to continue to go and go, do. And that energy, they have the Queen of Hearts in Pluto. So I find that whole, you sit in Uranus, you go ride Neptune, all your cards are in Neptune. So there's this chill kind of can be considered laziness that happens with that energy. That's the King of Diamonds and the King of Hearts don't have that because of Mars, and they got the Eight of Clubs that's got a lot of drive too, that they don't have that. So it's just different.
Yeah. Yeah, that laziness is definitely within that King class with that Queen of Hearts and Pluto. Definitely have to watch out. We was talking about that earlier. The motivation of the heart. If the heart isn't in it, you're not going to get much out of it.
And the two sixes makes things even slower.
Right, yeah, those 2 6s as well. And Uranus, is it Saturn or Uranus? Uranus and Neptune for them? Yeah, Uranus and Neptune.
Hey everyone, good morning.
Good morning, Louis. I know you was busy. I was about to call on you.
Yeah, just rolling out of bed, so I just better have one eye open listening to you guys for the last 45. But I got a daughter that's King of Clubs. And I'm not sure if you guys remember or not, but the 4 diamonds and that 2 of spades, the Mars and the Jupiter card are channels. It's a channel. It's the 4130. And it's a root and intuitive, emotional channel. So that four of diamonds is about the rapture. It's about releasing your emotions, right? And then the challenging card is actually the 2 of spades,
Which is the Mars for them, right?
It's their Jupiter.
The Jupiter.
But the 4 of spades is connected to their Mars. So yeah, it's a channel. It's connected, right? So I mean, we've been speaking on the 2 of spades, and we're going to hear more about that here coming this week with Nick and Therese. But it's that emotional weight that the Mars has to pursue, right? And then when you got those 6s and Uranus and Neptune, like you're almost detached, right? So you have to be able to clear those emotions so you can come back to the light, so to speak. And the King of Clubs is the Akashic access, so to be able to reach that information, right? And then you got that 3 of Hearts as the Earth. That's a confusing card already as it is. You know what I'm saying? And she's actually she's gay herself, right? And but she has that King of Clubs energy. So she gets even more confused looking for a significant other, and her significant other is actually a 4 of diamonds.
The Mars card.
Yeah. Right. So it's like she needs that 4 of diamonds push, but if they're both in the emotional states, like that's not going to be a good look. That's not going to be good. But to pursue that 2 of spades, like together, it's almost needed. Because that 2 of spades, like it's a new path. And you really got to leave everything behind. A lot of those emotional states. Then you got that 8 of Hearts and Saturn. Like you have to be recognized as what? It'd be depending on your emotional state. You got to show yourself and expect a lot from people. Yet alone yourself. And a king runs the empire, right? So the concern for the empire to last and to be, to hold it with fortitude, and the responsibility of the king to make sure the responsibility of others is getting done. So it can be, it could be pushy, it could be nitpicky, it could be, unsatisfied, and it's almost to the point where they just ghost you and say, "I'll do it myself." It's like, well, shit. But as a 5 of hearts, she tends to her mom, the 7 of clubs, more. And it maybe is because of my emotional energy being so detached, and she wants to cut it with a sword because it's attached, but that feeling of that weight, you know what I mean? Especially me as a 5 of hearts, like I can be some pressure.
And then you have her in the moon, so you kind of think high of
Right.
her. So you're
Yeah.
holding her to a certain standard.
Emotions, right?
Yeah. So it's the emotional
Yeah.
connection and the standards that you may hold, or the pressure
Mm-hmm.
could be seen directly. And they have the 8 of hearts and Saturn. So we were talking about having the emotional willpower. So like, I'm not gonna say that to avoid the fight, but it's like that 8 of hearts, you're gonna have to like really stand in it, and know what you want, and seeing what's affecting you emotionally. If not, it can take over, So it was saying, so just to read, I hate, coming up here. I don't want people to just think we're just saying anything, because I know we say a lot. It's kind of fast sometimes.
Yeah,
So have power in overcoming diseases and recuperate quickly if it is if anything attacks them. Are well cared for when sick. Make good healers, psychic investigators, drugless practitioners, etc. Find physicians in any line, but should avoid surgery. I was talking about surgery, right? May have to learn that misdirected love or unbridled emotions can be the cause of failure. So just from that, it's saying that the 8 of hearts and Saturn, the like you were saying, the emotional heaviness can be maybe heavy for that 8 of hearts. I mean, King of Clubs having the 8 of hearts and Saturn, and trying to deal with the emotion, find the solutions, and also the 8 of hearts is heavy anyway because it has those 2 sevens. I love the way Nick broke that down one day. He was talking about the bipolar essence within those in the 8 of hearts, of dealing with your internal, the things that you can't get over, the things that offend you, but also having to have this unforgiving, this selfless love is like, like, dang, should I hang on to the things that have scarred me, or should I let it all go and be like this selfless, loving person? But Nick, if you want to go over the 8 of hearts and those 2 sevens, how it affected.
Well, real quick, the King of Clubs, because I've been with the women, because anytime I have a King of Clubs client, I always take note. And what I've noticed is I have to be their father because they are extremely attached to their father figure. It's like they typically have both parents, but both parents can't be detached. They need a parent that I guess might know that, okay, I can't be too detached, because that's the challenge to that. Is when Saturn, when you have a heart in Saturn, you're having to give love. And for it to be an 8 of hearts in Saturn, you having to give big love to large groups of people. Like, you're having to do a lot. So if you're detached, you are coming across cold, because the 8 of hearts can be really, really cold because of that 7 of spades, challenging them, not having faith in people, not having faith in relationships, just not having trust and faith in anything, because the 7 of spades has the 2 of clubs and Mercury. So it's this fear that they have of not being able to attach to anything. Everybody wants to be able to attach to something, and typically that's some love. Love makes you feel like a person ain't going nowhere. So when they have, and typically they mom, because the Queen of Hearts is Pluto, is the problem. So they attach to the women King of Clubs. They attach to the father, but it helps when the father can show them how to be detached from men, how they need to be detached from men and not be so pulling on, or whoever they're dating, not to be so, I gotta have this person. If this person doesn't come, I'm not going. If my mate don't go to the party, I ain't going either. Like, it's this detachment, this attachment to another person, that the father figure, only the father figure can really, really help with that, not really the mom. So that's what I've noticed. When the father can be really, really into making sure that this person is not codependent on anybody, that helps the King of Clubs do what they came here to do, because otherwise they're looking for a mate the whole time.
And that's interesting, because I show that detachment. Like now, my wife really won't even ask if I want to go places because she knows I really don't move like that. And especially when I'm doing my work and my heart's not in, where she wants to do or go, or big crowds of people, and I'm just not feeling it. But to be able to, for my daughter to be able to see that, I guess is what you're saying, not being codependent. But on the flip side, she thinks that my wife takes care of me as a 5 of hearts. Of course, that's what's good. I'm the kid, right? I'm the child. I'm the other child of hers. But I've learned to detach though, and on my side to where it's like I don't need anything. I like the 5 of hearts is the homeless person. Like I don't need anything. But it's those relationships. It's the love and the nurture is really all that we're looking for. Um, but yeah, like I'm hoping that what you just said that that'll reflect in a positive way, and showing like you don't need your other half, so to speak. You're all of it. You don't need to a significant other at all times. Be comfortable with yourself, and when she's by herself, she starts to feel those type of ways. She gets lonely, she starts to wonder, and she starts and it's just those attachments that she's always looking for. And that 4 of diamonds, with that such an emotional state and love, I can see how her significant other plays a big part, trying to fill that gap. But that 4 of diamonds is tough. I told you, you're crazy.
Well, her Mars card is her father's challenging karma card.
Yes, that's what I've been telling Deborah. I said I gotta unlock that 4 of diamonds. If I could do that, it's a wrap.
Yeah, that's gonna help her so much because that's the codependency. Like, is really it's of most people's codependency is really wrapped up in the 4 of diamonds. It
Yeah.
really is.
Wow.
I want to know more about that. But Lewis, I think you must be typing when you're talking. And so can you not have your microphone on when you're typing? I don't know where that clicking's coming from, but for some reason it's making my brain crazy.
There is a little paddle or something there.
It's like a click, click. Oh, it's not typing. I don't know where that sound is.
I hear it again right now.
Oh, again, I was blaming you. Sorry, dude. That's messed
No,
up.
I can hear it in the back. There's like a static in the background or something.
I was playing detective over here. It's like, all right, who's doing it?
I know it's Lewis.
I think it's him. The other one's with. So
No.
I want to know more about codependency and 4 diamonds. I want to give me more to go on there. Help me understand the relationship between the 4 diamonds and codependency, Nick.
Oh, well, the 5 of hearts is like Lewis said, it's young, right? So in order for them to grow, they have to find something stable because there's a 5 that wants to be free, but stability is not really freedom in terms of at first. Once you're building something, you're not free. You're not free. You're building it. And then once you built it, you can employ people and have a whole King of Diamonds situation, and you have a staff, and then you can go be free. So the 5 of hearts has to do something long enough to see it all the way through, so then that they now have a 4 of diamonds. They now have a solid way of making money, that because the 10 of spades is what the 4 of diamonds transforms to. So it's this solid foundation that you can have for your family. Even if you're not here anymore, they can continue this for years and years and generations to generations. But a 5 being a 5 and them having a 5 in Saturn, I believe they will be on to the next thing before they have mastered anything. You know what I'm saying? And that's with the 4 of diamonds. You have to master something. Like when you go out, they know, oh, that's that guy or that's that lady that does X, Y, and Z. That's the challenge. And so for people with the 3s, they got those 2 3s, that 5 of clubs. I'm sorry, the 5 of hearts, 4 of diamonds. In Saturn, they have 2 3s, 5s, and all that stuff. So they have it's challenging for them to wait and see something all the way to finish. And that's the challenge with when you're dealing with that 4 of diamonds. It's like you can build something, you can have stability, but can you wait and build that faith that it takes for you to have when you're building a foundation, because no business is built without faith. So that whole process, it takes time, and people be on to the next thing. And so then what happened to the first thing? So that's the four diamonds in codependency. People, they not willing, or they don't have the patience to wait for it to spark and the magic to come, and now the business is booming. So they have to find a partner, a mate, or somebody who has stability. For diamonds, they're stable. This other person is already stable. I'm not, but this person is. And because this person is stable, I'm going to kind of just, I basically be codependent, because I need stability. You know what I'm saying? So that it's a thing. It's a thing there. And I find it a lot with clients too. A lot of them are married for that purpose. They are married for that four diamonds, because they know that if they lose their job, he got one or she got one, or if my business failed and I don't have no more clients, then you have a 9 to 5. So it's like that comfort, and everybody's trying to prevent having to go through that 9 of spades where you've lost your job, you got to build something, and you just don't have nothing but pure faith to do it.
Yeah, and that's what I've done. You're telling my story. Get out of my head, right? And that four diamonds, it's an emotional stability. So if you can't get out your own shit, you ain't gonna get on your own feet, right? And then Mercury got that 2 of spades. And what we've been talking about? We've been talking about getting on your own path, getting on the emanating path of yours, believing, having that faith to pursue the uncertain, and being able to do that on your own. But it takes that emotional stability. It's that 30-41 that's so important. It's a root. It's a root in an emotional, intuitive channel that, like you got to be able to understand how sevens work, and just that emotional, the threes and the fives, the way that their emotions move. You have to be able to curate the emotional stability so we can stand firm in our statue. But yeah, that 2 of spades, I'm telling you guys, that 2 of spades is going to be key. And I'm glad we're still beating around the drum.
And Lewis is doing it right now because he collaborated with us. We're going to make sure that his vision and everything that he's is doing and building, we're going to make sure that he has his 4 diamonds, because he can't do it without the 2 of spades. He has to do it with other people.
Right.
So he's doing it right now. His daughter has to see him. He has to make sure that he's on a seesaw. He's on a seesaw. He's being emotional with her, and he's being detached, because that's showing her that she can't even be so caught up on her dad, because he's not going to always be emotional for you. So he has to be on a seesaw.
And being able to take care of my family after I'm gone, like, this is what's going to do it. And this is the work I've been doing. I've had the faith to be able to carry this out like a baby with my wife, the only one working. I haven't worked in 10 years. And as a Capricorn, I try not to need much. I even try to stop eating. Right? It's like, I don't need anything. I don't need much. Like, I have to be able to, like, who am I without all of this, especially as a Capricorn? Who am I first without nothing? And being able to fill into that, because when it all comes, I still got to hold that balance. I still got to be, hold my integrity. But yeah, that 4 of diamonds, and it's right there. It's close, but yeah, it's not easy. It's emotional. It's emotional trickery.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I was gonna say, yeah, it's a seesaw with the 2 of spades, and having that energy. As much as you're supposed to work with people, you gotta be careful not throwing a workload onto your partner or anyone around you. So finding that balance, and finding that stability within yourself, and being confident. I think with twos, they need someone to build them up as well. They need someone to kind of like give them, push them out into the forefront. Let them know you'll be okay by yourself. you know. So they do, like I said, it's a seesaw. So they got to understand and know how to step out on the ledge by themselves, but also needing that partner, also working with other people, and gaining strength within those type of situation. So yeah, it's finding the balance. So that's a really good point with that 4 of diamonds and the 5 of hearts. And it actually says the 5 of hearts especially should not get married for money. 4 of diamonds too, of course, because they're associated. But that marriage for money and stability is a huge factor for those cards.
Yeah, I can see that. And like I said, we've been together for 27 years and we haven't got married. That's how detached I am. You know, some people might see that as a problem, an issue, or a concern. You know, but I need that freedom. And so does she. You know, these bonds, they're killing people. These traditions, you know, it's making things harder. As much as coming together is easier, you know, it's to be easier for each other. Like these bonds are really making things difficult. We ain't thinking for ourselves. We ain't putting ourselves first. You know, and that's where it starts. Those aces and twos, like if we ain't got that, what we got?
Yeah, that's a tricky spot, right? Because we've definitely growing out of that, like my brand, my way, individual, me stuff. The Aquarian concepts are definitely infiltrating all parts of life. And I have the luxury of my relationship with Miles that we really treasure authenticity as like a high value in our family. So I don't ever feel held back by my relationship at all. Sometimes I might get bratty and want the relationship to give me things that I got to do myself, but that's just human stuff, you know? That's just like when you want someone else to make you feel better because you didn't go for a run or swim or take care of your own shit, you know? So I think that there's a surrender to the concept of self, to the ego construct or the familial kind of imprint, because freedom's an interesting word. You know, I was in a rehab and one day I decided that was the question of the day and I asked everybody what freedom was. And my favorite answer was this one guy who said, freedom's where you know where all the lines are and you can do whatever you want from there. And I really like that because that freedom to just do what I want when I want, just let it run. Like, I don't necessarily think that's the freedom that's going to make life better. I think it's the freedom to say, within this understanding, I can be anything and I can use myself. I can create in the present moment whatever I choose. I can respond however I choose. Like, and from that, I create my reality. Because this idea that we're being, you know, of course, slavery, being imprisoned and the programming and the way we might still be slaves right now. I mean, it makes you feel like I need to be free, but we all really need to be expressed. That's what freedom is the ability to fully express yourself and be yourself. So those are some of my thoughts on that. Not to negate it all, just to add more because I think about that stuff.
And agree, especially as the mundane world, that's really the case. But when spirit steps and tells you to take hard, are you gonna, yeah, I'm trying to
Can't hear you, Louis. We can't hear you. Break it up.
Oh, can you hear me now? How about now?
Yeah, okay. So
Okay.
start because we didn't hear you after I spoke.
Oh no, I was just saying. So when spirit steps in and asks for you to take a hard left, when we have this connection, this soul connection, you know, when we've worked these ones and these aces and twos in, you know, we've mastered the self. And when we step into our higher self and spirit or soul wants you to, you know, asks of you to do something, like our partnerships are going to come to the point where they're not going to understand or they're not going to accept it because you don't even understand. You're being asked to do something or say something or to contribute somewhere or to, you know, but like I said, I can see what you're saying on this side of the coin, but when the coin actually flips and we are stepped into our highest power, like we're going to start to see these disruptions. There's going to be a whole lot of 5 activity going on. There's a whole lot of, you know, just separating and ghosting and, you know, just kind of stuff like that. But it's because there was an internal knowing that the external doesn't need to be explained. Right. So that freedom, yeah, everybody is looking for freedom in having the integrity to know where those lines are at, you know, and, you know, be respectful in those ways as far as
to each other and accountable to the fact that everybody's has ripples, and love's a drug like every other one. And when people feel it and they get sparked up in it,
Right.
you don't have the clarity that you think you have because the love is driving the game.
Right. Right. And it's almost a distraction. Right. It's an external love is almost like an extraction because the internal love is turmoil for the most part for most people.
Right. And so in the beginning, the love activates, oh my gosh, I can show you this part and you think it's cool. So I can now love this part too because
Right.
someone else loves it. So
Yep.
I get how the world gets turned on by being loved unconditionally by other people. But still, that idea of that or that current, it's a juice, it's a nectar, it's powerful.
And the spirit told you to go get some juice to this stranger. The significant other gonna look at you like, what's really going on? You know, but so that's why I say, you know, just, you know, those relations and, you know, the bonds and attachments that we're so used to in the programming. It's like we only know it as this, and we can pick and choose and you know, and try to validate, you know, what a relationship is or looks like. But this is why you know, humanity's got it wrong the whole time. You know, because of these stipulations and whatnot. But as soon as freedom really comes and we step into our higher self, like this is where we have to start planting our own food. We ain't gonna have to grocery stores to, you know, to rely on. Talking about codependency. You know, this is like the full length of freedom, self-freedom, individuation, which the significant other needs to be able to do the same.
But also in frequency and vibration, we'll be collecting more of what we need to us and things will be happening differently. So it won't necessarily be as, it'll seem dramatic from what we're experiencing now, because I recognized about 8 or 9 years ago that it's frequency. Like, you know, what I said to Miles is like, at this point, this is where I am and this is what we'll do and this is what's up, right? Though I know that I'm going to change vibrationally, and when the frequency and the vibration shifts, I have to move with the frequency. Like it's imperative for my being to move with the call because I said yes to being in this lifetime, that I would move with the call. We're in a beautiful way that it doesn't matter. I don't think there's anywhere I could go that he couldn't go, or at least be in the backdrop of my life in some way. But I know that if there's an energy or a frequency that activates a life force in me that says, this is where you do it, like the moon dance and different things that I do, I got to go.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm cheating on anybody or this is better. This is like, this is where my resource, what I came with, gets used. So I'm being called to where I get used, and I'm here to be used by the universe to grow a better world.
Yeah, that's the freedom. Yeah.
Well, Lewis was saying one thing that stuck out. He was saying that the inner voice, you can't really explain that to like your partner, right? Like this inner calling, and to think about the Five of Hearts as the gypsy, you kind of see that it's like this flow, this music, this flute that's playing, that's calling you the acting to do something that you can't really explain to everyone else. You know, if you see what gypsies are, they roam. You know, that they walk all over the earth, helping, serving. You know, and doing whatever they may be doing, and that it's a call of service. You know, it's a feeling from within inside, internal, a need. You know, like I said, the Five of Spades packs up all the things that's needful along the trip that they may need to help others, you know, or taking it home with them in some type of way. So, you know, it's like the Five of Hearts, you know, they got all their tools, that Queen of Spades and Uranus, they have all the tools that everyone needs. And it's like they're out just doing them, you know, because they feel like they're in service or helping whomever or whatever. So yeah, I can definitely see that, and they are the transformation. They transform into that Jack of Diamonds. We're talking about freedom, right? We live in the land of the free.
Well, right? We all came here like gypsies to America, the Jack of Diamonds, right? And like, Lewis, yes to what you want to say. Just if you think about being nomadic and gypsy, like, which I really resonate with the gypsy, like I really resonate to gypsy, and you have to sense what's going on. You know when to move. You're connecting to things differently. It's not like based on the news or what somebody said. Like you're living with the elements. You're living in you're moving with the people. You're finding the call. You know, so that's a different attunement. It's more like a bird.
Yeah.
So wait, people, and I'm speaking for me and Therese, she's not here. and I'm assuming she would be wanting to know the same thing. So people not gonna be getting married going forward, because I'm like, I want to get married and the whole shebang, not to be dependent on or codependent on anybody, but just because that's something that for me it's more so King of Diamonds and Venus, just mainly for the prenuptial agreements and stuff like that. I just want that I want that paper for that purpose. So will in the future y'all saying that people won't still be getting married possibly, or what?
I think it's situational, and I look at the American spread like this as well, and also all the zodiac signs. Like we're meant to have certain conversations and certain discoveries, like so. It's the topic has came up because there's a form of enlightenment that needs to be had or needs to be said, or implementation, maybe in our culture, or maybe just the connection we have of the all of the God. They say God is the sent, that this earth is a representation of all the different parts of God, right? So it's like you're here to witness this part of life, so it may not be applicable to you, but it is something that may need to be known, or brought to in awareness. And some people astrologically, even for myself, in my human design, maybe Luis can kind of help us. But it says that I pick up on like the all the transits. I don't know what it is in my human design, and Lewis, if you can look at it, but it says that like I pick up on energy in the transits. So sometimes I find myself speaking to a particular astrological placement. It may not be of me on a regular everyday basis. It may be the energy of the moment. So that's kind of how I look at the United States spreads and the America spreads. Of course, things are set to actions because other people have placements in these places, so they're going to act upon it. So it's like you're going to see these things come out into play within media, in the America spread. So sometimes I don't look at the placements as an exact being, more of a conversation to be had and a representation of the energy. So whether you apply it to your life or not, it's a conversation and something that's happening, and some people may be resonating to it, and it's like, oh, this awakening, or this feeling like, okay, I can finally be me, or this discovery. So that's how I look at it. Not saying that this is what's going to happen for everybody, but this is going to be a conversation. Like in the Three of Hearts year, there was a lot of conversation about transsexuality. That's when the conversation started, was in what was that, 20 what was it, 2022, no, 20, what would that be? What was 2020, not 2020, the year before 2020?
2019 or 2019 or
2018? Is this a three?
the three of hearts year.
Was that a Three of Hearts year?
I believe so, because this 7 hearts year this year, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. 9, 10, yeah, that's 12, and then 3. Yeah, so that's the Three of Hearts year. So you can see
Interesting.
I'm getting a phone call. In the family group chat, they don't want that. I love them, but yeah. So you see these topics and these conversations come up, right? But then also on the opposite side, you see people fighting against that. In that same essence. So it's like whomever may resonate with it can find their freedom within that, and maybe find more acceptance and feel like they can, like, okay, this is my time, for me to expose or bring about these reflections and how I relate to it. So I think it's that maybe from my Ace of Spades and also the Five of Clubs, but like every science can't be applied to everybody, but there's a lesson within the evaluation and through the science as well, though, or someone is going to relate to it.
Okay, thank you. That was extremely helpful.
Yeah, that's about as close as the free will as we get. We got to pick a side, and it's causing frustration. It's causing slowing things down. People are they're getting tired. We're exhausted. always got to pick a side, you know. But yeah, that 3 of hearts, you know, it's really going to step forward. And people are, you know, everyone's going to have to deal with that.
You know, when Nick, you asked the question about marriage, and I wonder about that a lot too. And I can so see what an institution it's been and how it allowed a certain type of like sacrifice for your needs for the idea of family. And it's kind of funny in general how much people just love that family idea. Like me too. You know, I sing it, I say it, it's in the tagline, it's all that. Because there's something about marriage and family, because it's really a commitment. And to me, when I work with couples and otherwise, I'm like, your relationship can be whatever you want it to be, as long as you both agree and you're comfortable in it. If you both want that type of relationship and that's what serves the way you want to express yourself and how you're going to be supported and met with, you know, whatever stimulus or experiences you want, by all means, live it. You know, I think there's something about that that really gives us the permission to be free, but it's hard to break out of the constructs of the institution of marriage and some of the beliefs. And I think that's thematic to what's happening to us overall, is breaking out of the concepts and the ways that those things kind of held us more to forms and not as organically unpacked or unfolded, you know, like communion, like what Deborah's saying there, like to basically bring my authentic essence into union with yours and have that third energy that makes us have even more information and clarity to work together. But, you know, concepts, ideas, judgments, those kind of things, they get in the way, you know. So if it's a prenup, if it's a conversation about how we communicate, if it's I need space for this, but for it to be really accepted and honored as what we create, and then the creation is honored. It's not taken for granted. It's not stepped on. Like, and that's what stems out of our early family relationships, is because we didn't communicate sometimes. You know, we end up growing whatever we grow around it, and it stays inside of us. And then it gets played out when you get married or when you get closer to somebody. So I believe that relationships are always going to be that type of classroom, but to know yourself well enough to really create something that matches you and makes you alive inside, that's the call. That's the call that I feel as a person.
Yeah, and a lot of us are getting married at an early age. And how do you don't know yourself that well? I mean, the cards can show you, you know, I mean, if these sciences can be free themselves, but yeah, like it's gonna have to come with, you know, after 40. We can only get married after 40. But yeah, you hit it on the head, girl. You know, these constructs, you know, it's just been, you know, kept things a little foggy, but you know, the fog is clearing, and we're going to be able to really bring those conceptions, you know, that you stated alive and bring together. I mean, how, you know, we only look at the family or the significant other. We don't really get into that whole business type way. We don't have the conversations that we have on the outside of the house. We don't, you know, there's a lot of things that we don't utilize in our conversations, you know. Therefore it keeps us only limited, you know, and it comes to bringing concerns and expectations, and you know, it just kind of captivates the conversations that are even held in a household. You know, we can't wait to come home from work, you know, then for what? So we can unload it all on, you know, on the wife and the husband and the kids. And, you know, it's kind of like, what is this capsule? You know,
Yeah.
and why is it such a box? You know what I mean? Our houses are made square already as it is. They're made, you know, I mean, just infrastructures in our workplaces, you know, build with metals, you know. It's just so many different things that play a part in how we act, you know, in the environments that we're set in, and what we make of that, you know, depending upon our emotional effect that it brings in. um but yeah, understanding where the lines are, and where you draw the line, because you know who you are at all times, right? And being able to witness the energy change within yourself, and playing with the your animal instincts, and you know, and relating with the day, and feeling the messages that do come through, because like it says, when I get into these rooms and I listen to everyone, it's like I can hear this cosmic movement, but it's your guys' experiences, it's everybody's experiences, but I see things moving on a cosmic level. It's like this is the enlightenment, this is the awakening that's occurring, and we're getting a taste, an example of what it looks like, because we can just take this in all out at the same time. So we are getting a little bit of of what it feels like, and so to be able to meet up with everybody here, it's just going to start to get faster, it's going to start to double, and it's going to be
now we're going to be brave enough to have those conversations, right? Because that's where the courage comes in, so I'm going to tell a brief story. I'm part of a farm that I adore, and I am leaving, and I wanted to make a volunteer orientation video so that people would know what was going on there, so more people could support these older farmers who I feel are just wonderful people. I asked the boys months ago. I asked them to do it. They both agreed. I didn't offer any incentive. I just said, this is what I need. They were borrowing money and stuff during school, so I may have been manipulative in that way, but I cleaned it up and asked again when there wasn't money involved. There was still agreement. And then I said, okay, so now it's the day. And as it's the day, I'm getting the resistance, I'm getting the irritation, and I'm like, oh no, what the hell am I going to do? Because I don't have a lot of moves to the resistance other than, okay, I'll just go do it myself, And so I said, you got to break through this. Like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Like, where are we? What's happening? And one of them was able to say, I don't want to be part of the family business. I didn't want to do this. Like, just said a whole bunch of things that he'd been packing. And as soon as he finished saying them, and I just sort of stood there, and I was like, all right, well, you pretty much just drew a line. No, 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 which I'm pretty used to at this point. And I'm not mad at you for it. And I'm not picking a fight, but I get it. No, 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 no. But now what happens that we're still planning to do this today? And he's like, well, I feel better now because I told you. And I was like, okay, great. So I'm not asking you to be in the family business. I'm not asking you to change your life and become a farmer and see farming as a more cool thing than playing video games. I'm asking you to meet me in a co-creative project and communicate authentically, because don't think that you're going to go into movies and not have to deal with annoying people. They may not be as annoying as me. They might be less annoying or more annoying, but you're always going to have to deal with people. So I'm inviting you to grow up. So I don't want to be in this spot with you all the time. And then, a little bit of tears, nothing like major, none that he could help. And he was just like, I don't know why I do that to you, Mom. I said, I don't even care that you're doing it. I care that we can talk enough to get to where we can go down to the farm and have a good time doing the video. And we did. We had a great time doing the video. But those conversations take courage, because he could have kept that in, vented to his brother, not said anything else. And then that's what grows, and it creates the tension, right? So to be really deliberate about, this is where the rub is, and this is what I need you to know. You're going to still do it, but the whole time you need to know I'm like this. Go ahead, be wherever you are, but this is what we're doing, and I can count on you to move your gear to the left when I go to the right when we do that part of the dance in the show. So I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but those kind of conversations, because just letting it run through you and not staying inside you gives room for the bloom. It makes it so you breathe deeper.
I think those commitments and contracts, we overcommit sometimes. Even in human design, you guys, even he had to even look at it as a business. Like if we had an offer, we offered this special this week, or you can only act today. Like you're gonna miss a lot of target a lot of your population that can't make those decisions today, and they know it. They need a couple hours. They may need a week, to make decisions. But they're put under the pressure to make a decision now, right? So these contracts and overcommitment, this is what the Three of Diamonds is going to teach us. Overcommitting. What are we committing to? What's the sacrifice?
Yeah, that Jack of Hearts Saturn.
Yeah. And this is what we're talking about on the spiritual level, on the cosmic level, it's exactly what Gro just said. Like, okay, well, I'm not going to make you be part of the family business. You have that freedom, right? But and be clear about these things, and not just say we're family. Stop. We're in this together. We are on this mundane world, but on a cosmic level, this individuation really is sharpening right now. And like we have to listen, and thankfully you don't react, and you are listening. But on a cosmic level, like these are the things that are changing at the roots for humanity.
But individuation in Jungian psychology, it's not necessarily I got to be separate from everybody and do my
No,
thing. Individuation is to call home your fragments, to become whole again, to be able to stand in your own your own wholeness, oneness, clarity, and bring that clarity to your tree in the forest. It's not individuate me. No. It's get yourself back together so nobody has to take care of you because some part of you is still crying in a corner and you don't know how to really stand up because every time you try to stand up, you start crying again.
Yeah, your core. Yeah,
right.
Your
core recall.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and we can show ways to strengthen that with the cards and the keys. I had spoken with Deborah a little about it yesterday, but yeah, really teaching individuation, right? And when we can understand what individuation is with that definition that Gro just gave, it grows stronger, with integrity, because it doesn't become me. Now you're powerful because you found yourself, but you still got an ego, or you still think, you know what I mean? So it comes with discipline, it comes with, but we have to provide these resources, right?
And we're holding you as your 4 diamonds builds with your 2 of spades dream and clarity. And Nick's going to be doing a room next week on Monday, right before the July 4th, discussing the 2 of spades and the ace of clubs so that we can grow more clear about what that nut is, where we can let ourselves be true and still be connected.
It's funny you say that because I was looking up the card marriage, and it's a married, and it's a 3 of spades. And it's so interesting because I feel like a lot of us we do things unconsciously based off Mercury and the things that we saw in Mercury. And what I saw in Mercury was an 8 of clubs be married to her moon / her hidden energy, 3 of spades. She was married to a 3 of spades. And that's the card for married. And so the 8 of clubs is my Neptune, so it's a very dreamy marriage, extremely dreamy. It was like TV. Just if you've ever seen the Cosby Family, if you've ever watched that show, that's what it was. It's like that was the 8 of, my grandma was the 8 of clubs, which was Claire Huxtable, and the 3 of spades was Mr. Huxtable, and that was just the best thing I've ever seen. I mean, it was just you wanted that, and so I'm so attached to having that, of course, with prenups and everything, because I know what all I bring to the table, and I know what that person's going to get. But that's one of the reasons why I want to have that, because I saw it, and a lot of people never saw that. They saw it on the Cosby Show, but they never experienced it in person. So once you see a movie show out, a movie type of relationship in person in Mercury, it's like I gotta have that because I see it. None of my clients have really experienced that. It's like 1% that have either experienced it or even believe that it's possible, or even may not even want it. But when you have experienced that and you still see it still to this day, you like, oh yeah, I want that, and because it was still, the freedom was there. The freedom was there. Like he could go and do and she could go and do. They had their separate lives, but they both knew that they was going to come home to each other. The grandkids, because I was the grandchild, I knew that they were going to come home to each other, and it just was this because it was a marriage. There was this knowing of commitment. Yes, the commitment piece of knowing that this person is and then they die. So it's like the freedom's still there. You still got to be detached. So it's like you can't get away from being detached no matter what. But I'm craving that Mercury experience. I am.
That's a maturity, though. Think about the 8 of clubs and the 3 of spades. That's a maturity to be able to love and accept the person and allow the coming and the going, but to let the love stay primary at the table. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's a really great reflection, Nick, because when we do the couples fishbowl, that's one of the first rounds is like, what was the love story that you saw? Because it does really play out in what you push for and what you try to create, you know?
Yeah, that three of spades, the energy around that. So when I look, even in the words, I look at the energy that something provokes. So what is the energy that you feel when you hear married? You know. So as you were saying, it comes with the three of spades. So with that three of spades, you got a 9 in Mercury and you have a 9 in Uranus. The three of spades has to learn to be detached and from people, places, or things. You know, that's one of the biggest lessons. Even with the three of hearts, as we was explaining the other day, with the two of spades and Pluto. The two of spades have to learn. To come together. Walk separate but come together and play. You know, and even having fun in the separation, So I think that's very important looking at those nines of that three of spades. I also know three of spades and like relationships and essence of being in relationships is very important for them. I can see why those nines is important because the cycles of relationships can become frequent until you really find someone that can respect your boundaries and your freedoms. But even still, even the essence of marriage, those fours, the fives, the four of hearts, that restlessness that comes with those cards, So having to work through the restlessness and looking at the longevity and not just looking at everything with a negative point of view, a negative point of mind, I think, and people really have to look at marriage there's freedom, within in marriage, as long as you don't have that super attached state of mind. And actually, that's one thing. Um, like I said, he always, gosh, I was going to say his name, but Renaissance. I forgot his Renaissance. That he always talks about the cards, and one thing he did mention that I have to stick to is that the most cards are unmanageable, because they can't deal with the change and that can be fixed within their ways sometimes. So that's one of the things that makes people unmanageable is their fixed ways and not allowing the freedom to take place and happen within the relationships.
And let's go full circle because, I'm the pusher. I'm going to push and say what we're talking about in our group and what's kind of organically happened in the call for self-mastery is its own form of a union to communicate and make union around what we know and to share it to grow. So it is our fixed places that are going to make it hard. And it is having clear understandings of just what is and being able to accept it as it is, because that's the beginning of it. Because a lot of times I'll use you, Rashad. Like Rashad and I started talking about this last summer, and we've been like coming in and out doing different things. And there's definitely a mutual respect, a lot of similar values. And there's like an attempt to try to get the clarity on to use this three of clubs energy that exists between us to put something together that could inspire the youth to not be stuck as long as some of us have been stuck. Right. But then there's Lewis comes in and Lewis brings in a whole nother magical realm. And Deborah comes in as like the assistant, like they're doing illusionary stuff. And it's like amazing and not in any bad way. I love you, Deborah. That's not a diss. That's a kiss. And Nick comes in like, well, let me see. Well, let me see. Well, let me see. And now he's like, all right, I'm feeling it. I see it. I get it. And Adam's coming in like, let's make it make sense. Let's make it make sense. Let's figure out how to make it sensible. How does it grow all together? So that's the relationships of families. That's alchemy. That's the energies trying to work together, or not saying to your mom, I'm not going to be in your family business, because he doesn't feel like he can say what he wants to say. But he can. He's just 19 years old and wants to do whatever he wants, which is normal. But that's the maturity piece of like, can we negotiate the reality as it is and not be in the illusion anymore, believing that we're going to like, you know, make it more than anybody else. Everyone's going to be okay. Yes, there's going to be people who stay stuck, but there'll be a way that they're recycled and things come back together again too. Everyone's going to be okay, but how do you want to show up and be you and keep the relationship vibrating in a way that it can cultivate? So those are the things that I think about around that. Did I offend with any of my words?
No, you're fine. I don't know if this is, hold just 1 second. I may have to take this.
Okay, put us on hold. So yeah, I think that's that contract stuff, and I think it gets wonky. And I keep hearing Lewis when you always say it's going to be so different. It's going to be so different. I do recognize that it's not a contracting time; it's an individuating time. It's a growing your wholeness, growing your grace, coming into your sacred place, being able to speak your body's wisdom. I do think that's exactly what time it is right now. But then from that clarity, it's going to, you know, all in, both feet in. I want to be part of it this way. This is what feels true to me when all of me is back together and I'm not holding this person or this story or this idea where I have to have it. I'm all here, connected and collected, ready to be part of what I believe is my work.
Yeah. And create from that space.
Create from that space. 100% create. Like,
yeah.
I love your kisses too, Deborah. So yeah, so thanks guys. I feel stirred. I feel like very stirred by this. I didn't expect this type of a morning. Sometimes I don't know where we're gonna go, but this whole thing with my birthday coming up on Sunday, it's really in my heart because it's really in my heart. I'm going for another lodge on Saturday, the Ace of Spades Day, and I've been really thinking about my prayer there. It's an opportunity to just be with a whole bunch of physical bodies that are inspired by the elements and want to create their best version and be rebirthed this time. But it's also me being rebirthed because I'm sitting there leading it. So I've been really conscious of this idea of bringing everything back home so that I can trust myself wholeheartedly. And then hopefully the others will eventually trust too, that, you know, for me, I'm here for the good of all. And I want to see magic happen so we can live differently.
So will there be a room today?
What's today?
Ace of Clubs Day.
I said I'm pouring on the Ace of Spades Day. Oh yeah, I think the Ace of Clubs should definitely speak to the Ace. I'm definitely down for that. What do you talk about?
I don't know.
Ask the Ace. Speak with the Ace. Going to talk to the Ace. So, you know, what about cheating, Nick, as an Ace? I think that's a big topic because the one that I'm dealing with, that's what happened. You know what I mean? And I think the cheating is a real thing because that all about me, just me time. And I got those aces in my line. And trust me, I play and I flirt hard. And I don't necessarily to anybody, but I definitely get really close to people. Like, what about that when it comes to sacred relationships? Like, how does that play out so that people can trust each other, even though there might be a tendency to, I don't know. I don't even know if you identify with the idea of cheating or if you would never cheat, but I've known some aces to be kind of good at doing what they want.
Do you know what the card of cheating is?
Yeah,
you're gonna hold your hat. Ace, that 2 of spades. The 2 of spades.
Nice. So she brought it into the field. He wouldn't have known. No, he's got a history of doing it. He's been doing it for a long minute. He comes from that in his family. But yeah, that's interesting. The 2 of spades. So that's the one who wants to keep, because think about it, you can make connections so easily. So it's kind of like, oh, I can have every kind of flavor cookie I want. And the 2 of spades, I know she's like doing everything. And sometimes I feel like I'm not even keeping up. I'm like, you're doing what and what and what and what and what? You know, so I mean, who's sacred? When you're like sleeping with all your business partners, meeting all your businesses, you know, I think in my business, spiritual partners, sometimes it's like, I can't have too many of those because I'm going to flake on that too.
The sexual and sensual, that was one of the conversations that came up the other day. The sexual and the sensual, like we can still have these moment by moments and experiences. And they don't necessarily always got to be sexual, but to use your sensuality, that's the ingredients to creation.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ingredients. You want to create, it's like that kundalini, right? It's like we're gonna stir up some fire. It's gonna get hot up in here, right? But like, yeah, like touch each other, hug, like, I mean, yeah, but it doesn't always necessarily have to take it to the extreme. And I mean, yeah, that's information of your own. That's some sacred information that you'd be sharing. So I mean, that's for another room, another place, right?
It's consciousness of accountability, right? Because
Right.
vibes are vibes. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I've spent a lot of vibe time, and like when you're in that vibe, man, all stuff goes. So that's where you got to stay clear and true to the divinity that's you. Because when you're just moving in that current and letting it go where you want it to go, you're going to have to make peace with that, or that's going to play out back to you, right? Because that's the way it has to happen. That's just a cause and effect, the universal law. It's just the way it happens, right? Like whatever you focus on grows. So when we're in those, like, what? That's a real spot to say, whoa, wait a minute, I'm becoming inappropriate. I'm going too much into this because it's so fresh and different and I want to know it. But how is that affecting everything else that I am? And how am I managing that place? Because we can do anything we want. I don't think there's any rules. I think the present moment is directed by our own wisdom. Like we get to speak life into existence. And I just know that for me, when I speak life into existence, the energies of certain types of things can be very consuming and distracting to my clarity. And it happens completely subconsciously. And usually it's down the road a little bit that I'm like, oh my God, look at this. I did this because I wanted this. And I did this because I wanted that. I wasn't doing that because of the way the wind was blowing. I was doing that because I started to see it the way I wanted it.
Yeah.
And that's just me being true about what I learned about it being a human and what I see people doing.
Yes, facts. Yeah, we manipulate. We're good manipulators. We try to bend time, but these relationships, like, we got to understand the longevity of these relationships. Like, we don't just want something out of it. As soon as we don't get it, you know what I mean? It's like, screw that relationship. You wasn't good enough anyways, but you was. Like, it's a longevity, but at the same time, it's those moment to moments. Like, keep that same energy when we see each other every single time, and let's start from that point again every time we see each other every single time, so we can stay in creation mode every single time we see each other, so that renewance, that replenishing of the two of spades, is there for you to squeeze the juice together, right? It's not that you have to go take that back to bed and squeeze the juice, but it's the longevity of the relationships, and the experiences that you're able to create when you're together. But yeah, being able to have that flexibility and that freedom to be able to do that and start from that 0 point or that Godhead, in every moment, every time, to master the moment. Like, yeah, that's a beautiful relationship.
Yeah, those twos and those aces. You said it was the two of spades was the card for cheating. Yeah. I can say that I didn't get cheated on with that two of spades, but it was a moment in time where I had to learn to let go. I definitely, and I think what the hardest thing about the two of spades in those relationships is it feels so connected. There's a lot of meaning. You feel like you're meant to be with this person. There's a lot of synchronicities. I think I was in Aquarius class. I take her classes still, and she was talking about the king of space relationships, like that combination of spaces make it feel like these two people are meant to be together. Like, there's so many similarities and reflections when you first get together, but then it eventually dies off. It's like the honeymoon stages within a relationship, and just in general, I think relationships are triggered, or a lot of work relationships do have a lot of Mars energy. Like, so you have to come like hyping yourself up, like you got to do this, so you bring in all this energy, and we know Mars is a sexual energy. We were talking about you said, I believe you was talking about, it's the 45th or 40, is it the 46 or the 47 is for the two of spades? Which one is it for the two of spades?
The 41.
41. Okay, yeah, and you was talking about it being the fantasy within the gene keys.
Yeah.
So you look at the where it sits is Mars Neptune. So I'm another confession. I know I ain't gonna confess that, but there's the fantasy that happens within the workplace and those things. Like those are the most dangerous things when it comes to relationships, or the most scary things is the other partner's work husband or the work girlfriend. The relationships they keep have at work sometimes are the most intimate, because we spend a lot of time in those atmospheres. It's a Saturn, we spend a lot of times. So when you have that Mars energy within in that Saturn atmosphere, sometimes things can happen, and of course, like I said, in that tour space, those people come together and have a mission, a vocation, something to do. It's going to be that Mars energy, that fantasy, like, you're thinking and dreaming about this person. So when you say like that word cheaters, and it comes to that two of spades, is like, it really makes me think, because I definitely know there was the issue within that two of spades relationship was a work trip that they went on. And I do have to say, I got my karma because I went on that same work trip, and the same thing kind of sort of happened, and so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like when there's a space, I've even been talking to myself about meeting with all of you and doing what we're doing, because it takes up some of my evenings, and that's usually when Miles and I will meet each other or sit and talk or go out for a walk or something. And I haven't been doing that as much because I've been trying to keep my commitments to all the things I agreed. And I do know that I get a certain amount of intimacy. Like when I'm thinking about during the day, usually comes from what we were talking about or something, or another group I'm in, So it's like, that means that that's kind of my front and center. Like I'm not even in the present moment. I'm still digesting the wows from whatever we talked about, right? So I'm not saying it's good or bad, but it's alive and I can feel it. And sometimes I choose it and I don't necessarily put in the time to the other things that I've chosen to. And I'm not sure how we discern that kind of stuff, but I think that's a great thing to talk about for the one and the two, because that's what's happening right there, right? Because the one said yes to what it said yes to, and the two that it said to, and then it just kept twoing because it could, right? And that's great to two, but we have to remember that that third energy we create. So like whatever we create together, the energy of that is so much more powerful than any of us. It's so much more powerful. Like there's no way you could do it by yourself. But the only way that energy stays healthy is if the relationship of the people who made that energy is in right relation and working together in clear communication and on dissonance.
That's what I was saying about the household. How come we can't be so playful in our relationships as we can when we step out the house? Those conversations, and creating that 41, the two of spades, it's the kangaroo. Okay, so when I started looking into these animals, when I was putting this together, and the right scene, always this understanding or settlement that he was going to have to sacrifice one of these days. And sacrifice what? When the playful cheetah spots the kangaroo and chase starts to happen, resistance occurs, right? This is what's going to occur. It's going to happen. The resistance, like, so the cheetah's like, okay, game on. And this is the light speed that I speak of.
Yeah, the persistence resistance energy is huge. Yes. All the couples work that we've done, that was the primary current, is right. The persistence resistance.
Yeah. So that there already triggers the understanding of the two of spades to know it's coming. What am I going to have to sacrifice, though? It's going to be near the heart. It's going to be attached to the belly, and so then I seen that the kangaroo was having to sacrifice the baby. He'd have to throw the baby to the side and allow the cheetah to take the child so the mother can keep the lineage going. The sacrifice is deep.
Mm-hmm.
The emotional detachment is strong, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Because you're not detached. You're not detached. Like, it's an easy emotional detachment because there's no such thing as detachment. There's no such thing as abandonment. Like, this is what I can do, and if I can do this wholeheartedly, I make it stronger.
Yes.
So if I can bring myself to this commitment, to this energy, and stay consistent with the others, that's stronger than anything. So that just changes me.
Yeah.
That just changes
my whole table on it.
It changes everything because you're being used as part of something. You're not being like waiting to figure out who you are. You know what I mean? And not to say you won't be magical wherever you go. Everyone's going to shine like a star. That's what we are. But that doesn't mean that we want to fight over who gets there first or whose is brighter, because that's silly.
Right.
And the focus at that particular time, things change, going with the emotions, like you said, that once the game starts, I think that comes with that 4 of hearts as well. I think, balance of work life, family life, trying to find balance between the thing that you want to do, being of service. And that's one thing I think when you're talking about that 3 of spades, and that word marriage, 3s transforms into 4s, but to get there, there's a lot of insecurities, there's a lot of distractions.
You'd be lucky to get there, right?
We got you, Rashad. We got you, bro.
So I tell you, I don't try it a lot. So yeah, there's a lot of distractions that can come along the way, and like Nick was saying, within life we create attachments. It's hard not to create attachments, so that the essence of turning it on and turning it off is like a light switch. We have to just learn how to flip it on and flip it off, and making sure everyone else learn that too. It's like that's why we're here in these sciences, is learning to flip it on, flip it off, and knowing where should we dedicate our time, what's important now, and the person or whatever that's not important, they must also understand that and gain understanding within themselves what's taking place at this moment in time also. So finding balance within all of the relationships. But I think the hardest thing is us knowing and them not. Been on this side of the ladder.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Nick, we gotta go. This is the longest one ever, but I love it. It was just 156.
Ace of clubs there.
I know, right? But what is it that you feel you want to talk about tonight? Like, what do you feel would be a way that you'd feel supported to have a room?
I mean, even if it's 30 minutes, I just think that it's always good to talk about when those rare cards come to like talk about it. And for this energy, specifically because it's the reward, it'll be the Ace of Clubs, 2 of Hearts will be the reward for every year, with the 2 of Spades being the card of cheating and them having a 3 of Hearts and Pluto. So it's like getting past Pluto to get to the reward. People don't know how to get there because everything that I just said that I experienced growing up, people have not. So that's why that 3 of Hearts is there in Pluto, because people don't think that La La Land relationship can exist. They don't think that they can manifest that. They don't think that you can use the Queen of Spades to get that. You know what I'm saying? People don't have the faith in that 2 of Hearts relationship that you're not going to cheat on, because I'm never going to get this again. I'm not getting this person at all. I can't take this for granted. That's a whole thing. It's a thing, and it's something to talk about. And people don't, in the mundane world, in the matrix, they don't believe that. The songs aren't talking about it. The rappers and everybody, they're not talking about that. So it's an energy field that people can never sit in that house to experience anything that I'm talking about. So it just makes sense to talk about it so people can know that there's something to look forward to that you know nothing about.
So it's an invitation to the new way. That's kind of fun. So the Ace of Clubs invites us to see it differently and feel it differently.
And I'll put a plug in for our sponsors. A new way is leading in revolutions and far as within the cryptocurrency and technology field. So she is implementing these particular systems and educating the community around cryptocurrency, and her brand is A New Way. I just wanted to plug her in.
We were just talking last night in the room, Rashad. We had a private room just chatting, and Lewis brought up NFTs and currency and how to like create the reality that, or the whatever we experience in a place that it exists, like in its own. I mean, I don't know the right words to sound smart, but you guys get the gist of what I'm saying.
Yeah. So there's this wave of a new way of thinking. Appreciate that, Nick. I think the Ace of Clubs perspective, all the Fitz cards is something we don't see. we can only learn from their testament.
Yeah, so that's interesting, Rashad. I'd love to learn more. I don't know who that is, but thank you and grateful.
Oh yeah, that's you know who she is. Gosh, the Six of Hearts. You was gonna consult with the NFT.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. So what up, guys? We're good. So Nick, what time do you need help with that? Where do you want to do it? Do you want to do it in the card room? Do you want to do it in the Gene Keys room? Do you want to make your own new house? Like, where do you feel Nick's stories?
I don't care. I just have. I had an idea. It's I'm getting downloads, and so just the community. Like, why not? What are we doing tonight? If like I said, even if it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 seconds, I don't know. But I don't have a preference. I mean, you guys
never 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 seconds with you, but whatever.
Right. Well, no, but I'm just right. Okay. But I'm listening. We could talk. We could talk about it in the chat. I don't know, but I don't really have a preference on a room or whatever. To me, it's just us. All of our rooms. Lewis's room is our room. Your room is it's all of our rooms. So it doesn't really matter. But let's just do it. I don't care the time, whatever. I don't know.
Oh, you said it was all our rooms. Shut up. So cute. So I have time this evening around 5:30 to 6:30 in my time. And then in the evening later tonight, I have some time. And in this afternoon, I have time around like, I don't know, 3:30 for like an hour or two. So that's my window. So I have
when is Lewis and Rashad available? Because now when you're available.
All right, yeah, I know.
I'll be available whenever you guys want. I'm free pretty much all day. I stay in creation mode, so.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I actually not starting summer school yet, so I've had to stay busy with Amazon. But I will, slip in and make sure I find, some.
Well, what time are you working? Like when is your full presence available for more fun? When are you working?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm helping someone to get a car today, so I won't be too.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be kind of be in and out until I have to start work, helping them get a car. They pay me for even taking them to find the cars because my dedication. So, but yeah, I'll try to pop in when I can.
Well, what about you, Nick? When's your best time to share your downloads? Like, would this afternoon be a fun thing for you, like in a little while, or would you rather wait till after dinner? Like, when is your best share time?
After 5 o'clock Central Time is always good for me.
Okay.
When people start to get off of work and that whole I find that wind down time with Uranus is just after Saturn, because that Saturn day time of the day ends at 5:08. 5:08 p.m. is when Saturn ends and we go into Uranus. So I always like to do stuff like that after Saturn is over with.
Okay, so that means around 7:30 our time, correct?
Because where are you? Where are you?
New York, New Jersey.
So after 5, so 5 my time is 6 your time. Because I'm in Texas Central. Central.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then, so you want to do it at, what do you guys think? Like 7 or 8 or what?
Can you do 7 or 8? Does that work for you?
I'll be coming out of something like I won't be as present, but I can definitely come in and I can open and stuff. Like there's something I have to finish. I have a meeting with another co-creation of Hiking Healers. We're doing some dates and stuff like that. So I won't be 100%, but I can.
What
be,
about 9 your time?
Yeah, then I can be all free.
Let's do 9 your time. That's 8 my time. What time is that for
Rashad
Louis?
at 6 o'clock for you, Rashad. We'll see if you do it.
Yeah,
And then Louis.
I'm 2 hours behind East Coast, so
7 your time.
yeah.
Look at this.
I can even open it about 6, 7, unless we were all on the way for grow to.
No, you can start earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah,
let's start it,
No,
and
we
I'll
can do that
That
exactly at that 6 o'clock hour for Nick.
Just
his
make sure
time.
you record it, please. Make sure you record it because I would love to listen again.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, and maybe that'll set up the room for that 2 of spades talk anyway.
Oh, perfect. I love it. That sounds like a great idea. And then I won't worry about it, but I'll definitely be around and I'll definitely be putting into the vibe whenever I can.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, sweet. So that's great. Look at us negotiating out loud. This is Cards Family Alchemy. So, but thanks, Rashad, for doing it. And I'm going to wrap up. Anyone else have anything before we go?
No, if not, I appreciate it. Make sure you all check out individual handles on Instagram, Rashad. The reason I put in the cards because I'm so into the cards, but I may change it to end cards. But right now, Rashad in the letter N cards. Growing with the season GWTS 1111. Nick, Mr. Asset MR.ASSET. And Luis, I don't think I have your Instagram. What's your Instagram?
I go right now. I'm just playing with the Underground River Instagram.
Underground River. Okay, so yeah, just hit us up on Instagram. Hopefully, I have more like clips and stuff. Hopefully, I'm looking for a videographer to cut up some clips. I will pay you on a monthly basis as well if you can edit some clips. So hopefully, you can show all of our beautiful faces and individual clips on Instagram and get some clips going. So I appreciate everyone. And also, I have a clothing line coming, so I'm looking for a graphic design artist for that. And Louis, I know he has a book, so he may need some artists for that as well. So thank everyone. And also, Growing with the Season has consultations, and she is a licensed counselor also. So if anyone has any questions, of course, hit up Nick. He's heavy into the relationships, as you can see, the Ace of Clubs and the Two of Hearts. Love his relationships breakdowns. I feel like that's his niche and expertise. And if anyone have any questions on any of the topics, just let us know, and we'll talk to you all next Thursday around the same time at 9 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Central, and 6 o'clock.
Shout out to Moon Glow, formerly Dope Minerals, and to that Electric Honey and all the different products that come to be part of what we produce and create that helps us become more of who we're here to be. And thank you, Rashad, for the way you meet the cards and the way you keep order for things. It's really helpful. And I do have the newsletter that is offering some couples fishbowl stuff coming out in the fall. And there's a call for brotherhood. There's a call to cultivate something in brotherhood. My husband and the people who are doing it are kind of going different directions. So I have like an open space there saying, I know I'm supposed to work with men, oddly enough, but it's true. And I have a spot there saying, show me what we're supposed to do there, men. Tell me what you think we need so I can be supportive of it. The sisterhood is growing strong. And the Couples Fishbowl, like I said, will be out again. And we're learning so much about these patterns and relationships too. So I appreciate everybody's reflection. It makes me do my job better. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day. This was super.
I appreciate it. I'll see y'all next Thursday.
Bye.
Peace.
Peace.